agitating my wife again? Dirty old man.
Good thing that I can see.
Yes.
It's the bars that want to benefit from that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How can you tell them apart? Straight by the balls. Yeah, one ball's all night and one ball's all day.
Right. You need to get some input from the sheriff. How he feels about it. Huh?
Oh, that's good. How would we go about talking about changing the meeting?
Joe and I were talking about it.
Would that suit you?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of how they decided because some come from different places.
I'm not even out on Blacktop roads. Let them establish some trail system.
That's the way it was when George was on the board.
That or we have north and they,
I
they're
was
out
fine
there, they
with
cross.
all
Hi,
that.
Deb.
They just changed
I'm great. Yourself?
Go down for 10 miles an hour.
why we changed them today is
It might prevent some people from running for the board if it's state.
Oh, hey, you go.
Well, maybe we got to find out and talk about it.
Semi never
I
stopped
don't
on
care
Monday.
either way, it doesn't bother me.
Semi never stopped.
So where's this from? How did you come?
I'm sure it is.
I bought it because
The other one hit him.
Caroline, my neighbor, who had really about this book is how I bought it.
So they never stopped.
Also,
Good crowd.
Don't forget to speak into your mics. No, because then it doesn't pick up on the, it doesn't, our recording doesn't work. That works too.
Breaking up.
is that on? Oh, the each. All the way up. Now that I didn't see.
Put you in a sound booth.
A plant, I have this plant and it's very nice.
We'll call this meeting of the Waushara County Board of Supervisors order, and first we have roll call.
Mrs. Krentz. Mr. Tim.
Here.
Mr. Piaski.
Here.
Mr. Weddy.
Here.
Mr. Downey.
Here.
Mr. Eckstein.
Here.
Mrs. Salata.
Here.
Mr. Weiss.
Here.
Mr. Gellerup.
Here.
Mr. Crawford.
Here.
Mr. Kirschner.
Here.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna have a final county supervisor plan public hearing. As you know, we have 11 supervisors. We had to do a little, changing around this year, and it's on the board up above there, what it is, so. In your packet, there's a number of members each person represents also. We'll be voting on it later. Anybody from the audience have any questions about it? Apparently not, so we'll close that part of the public hearing, and we'll resume our county board meeting with a stand for a silent prayer and then the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Fed Gellerup is Mr. America tonight in this flag.
That's nice.
Okay, nobody is registered for public comments. We have an agenda. We need a motion to approve it.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the agenda.
Motion by Dennis Weddy, second by Everett. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Minutes of our September 20th and September 30th meeting, how do you find?
Chairman, I move the approval of those minutes.
Motion by Fred Gallup, second by Larry. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. There's no old business, new business. We'll have reports of our bonding project update.
Here's some pictures that I'm just passing around to let you see the progress on the towers. Where we're at this month, the system for the electronic door openings has been installed here at the courthouse in the North Annex, and that will be activated once all the fobs have been issued. The Sheriff's Department will be going over to that new system sometime this week. They had fobs before, but they're getting new fobs that coordinate with ours over here. The work release remodel, the architect has finished the preliminary floor plans, and they are currently being reviewed by the department heads who are being impacted on that change. The tower project, I'm passing around some pictures. Our two towers have been completed. The buildings have been set at Watoma. The building for Plainfield should be delivered tomorrow. We're making arrangements to hang the hardware. And the permit has been issued, or will be issued shortly, for the Poisippi Tower, which is being built by TV6, which is the last one in the group of 6 that will be on. The storage array network is all fully operational now. The last little clink in the fiber optics has been rectified, so that's going. The new telephone system, the telephones are being installed in all of the offices, and we're going to be doing training with the employees starting next week, and so hopefully by mid-November we'll be able to go over to that. And emergency medical dispatch, George Peterman and Tim Rosine are working together, coordinating training, and hopefully that will be taking place on schedule as well.
Thank you, Ruth. We're going to have some presentations now, and we're going to start with Public Health Department Strategic Planning. Patty Wolfire, our Public Health Director.
I'm actually, unless Deb wants to manipulate things, I will come over there. It might be easier for me, or would you like to, Deb? If you guys think you can hear me from over there, I'll come over there. Yeah, I'm not known for my loud voice, am I? You never know. Okay.
Gorgeous.
I'm going to show you 2 products tonight. Basically, this is a strategic plan, but there is a strategic plan and overview, and then there's a work plan. So, as you see here, this is our front page of the overview. Okay. So not going to come down. You said Madison all over again? Yeah. I know, so I don't know why it still wouldn't come down though.
Try dragging the bar.
Which is what I was doing. Okay. I don't want to ruin anything here, guys. This is not cool. Okay, sorry. What you missed, let me see if I can get back up a little bit, is, sorry about that. Okay, you can kind of see part of it, is our mission statement, and you can see just part of it, I'm sorry, promotes health and wellness through disease and injury prevention and safeguards the environment. our vision is healthy people, vibrant communities, safe environments with Sheriff County. The second page is a word cloud. There we go. Now it's starting to move. The word cloud shows what our values are, which is we're responsive, collaborative, caring, professional, ethical, accountable, and we believe in quality. And then there's explanations as to what those mean. That we collaborate with others, that we're caring, we're fair, we're responsive. You can read some of those yourself. But essentially that's what a word cloud is. It tells you what our values are for our health department. So when we went through our strategic plan to start this, we started with visioning, looking at our mission and our vision, and then looking at our SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. And then we came up with a series of goals. And our goals are to continue to build on established and engage in new collaborations to act on sources of health problems in our communities. We want to brand ourselves in the image of the community as the leader in public health efforts by serving as an essential resource for local governing bodies, policymakers in the community for current public health information, policies, and laws. We want to demonstrate fiscal responsibility to the people of O'Shea County and strengthen the public health funding system. We want to provide convenient, client-centered care and referrals to all. And we want to recognize the expertise of our internal workforce and build upon these strengths. So in this overview, we just use some of the strategies and some of the objectives that we place in our work plan, which is much more detailed. And hopefully, we'll be able to see some of that. Some of the objectives are, we'll develop a community health improvement plan. A CHIP is something that we have to do every 5 years, and we're working on some of that, and that's something that I can present another day. We base that on the health focus issues. We meet quarterly, conduct media events, develop a media plan, provide health information to the public through multiple venues, seek volunteer accreditation. That's another big opportunity I can talk to you about another day. It's a huge project. Strive to increase stable funding for public health. That's a big issue in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is like 49th in funding from state agencies. Identify public health needs and evaluate services and programs based on those needs, and develop and strengthen a competent and satisfied workforce through education and training. And competency and having a good workforce are very important to anybody in any shape. These are the people that helped out. I have a very good staff. Plus there were some board members, outside members that helped. A special thank you to Pat Nearing, who got us started out. He started us with our mission and vision and some problem solving. And then another special thank you is to Rebecca Hobarter, who then was in the regional office and is now the health officer for Shawano County. And she helped us finish with the word cloud and the templates for the other things that you'll see later. So I have some very good staff. And then it just finished with a short letter from me and then our Board of Health members. That's the overall quick thing that we would show most people, and then there's a detail in the work plan. So if I can get this to close. Okay, Deb, how'd you get your thing to close before?
The X right under that one. Do the,
Do the other X,
type
okay.
question for help, click that one. No, it's not letting you do it. Okay, I'll come down. Yeah.
Yeah, because you closed the, did you close the other thing before? So now, when we did the objectives, then the work plan is the detail to all of that. So if you remember goal 1, which is stated up there, continue to build and establish and engage in new collaborations to act on the source of health problems in the community. Remember, we said we would develop and facilitate a community health improvement plan. And we do have a draft of a community health improvement plan. In fact, we've been working on that for a while. Our community assessment started in 2009, and that was a huge document of data, which talks about morbidity and mortality, what's happening with people. And then we did a draft in 2010 that talks about the 3 big identified health focus issues. And I do have a copy of that tonight. But once again, that's an issue for another day as we move further along with that. Our 3 biggest issues are and the one we're working on the most right now is lifestyle choices. Healthier lifestyle choices, because as most people probably notice in the United States and Wisconsin and everywhere, there's a huge issue with obesity and physical fitness. And that comes up number 1, I think, everywhere. And it certainly does come up number 1 for us. And it affects a lot of things like diabetes and heart disease and that type of stuff. And it certainly comes up for us. And then there's access to care, and there's intentional injury, and which can be accidents. You've probably noticed there's certainly been plenty of those, and which can be distracted drivers. It can be alcohol. It can be a variety of things. And you look at suicide rates and a whole variety of those issues. So those are the top things that come up in your community health improvement plan, and you look at how can you make that better. And then under there also we'll facilitate meetings with committees that look at how can we make this better. And we have a couple members on our board who actually were part of some of those facilitated meetings. As you can see, we held a couple in June and July. And once again, our health department will conduct media events trying to explain what's in the community health improvement plan. And we did do what's called a Tuesday trek, where we tried to get people to walk more. And we did that for about 6 weeks this summer. And during those 6 weeks, when we put out the ad and tried to get people to walk more, we also said, here's information on our community health improvement plan, and here it is on the, where you can find it, on the website. Go look at it, that kind of thing. And then we say that annually we're going to report on the progress of the CHIP to the Board of Health, and that's slated for December. When you do a strategic plan, you basically look at about 4 or 5 years worth of what you're going to do for 4 or 5 years out. Let's see if I can. That doesn't do it either. There we go. Okay, and then we talked about branding the health department as the place that was going to have the most knowledge for public health, which makes sense. That's what we do. Try to be a resource for people. So we said, well, we're going to develop a written media plan. And we do have a communications team. And we said we'll try to do that by July of 12. And we'll do an annual newsletter to the food service operators. That's something that Chris Hins has been working on. You guys have met him. We'll produce public health service announcements. We'll do at least 12 in a year. We've probably done 6 of those already. There's been so many things that have happened, including the straight winds, and we've had to do things for people to be safe for that. And the flu, all kinds of things happened during the summer. The health department will establish a new website. We already redesigned our website. If anybody's been on the county website, and if they ever look at our website, they'll see that we have a new redesigned website. 90% of our health messages and resources will meet cultural and literacy guidelines. And we put that out to July of 14 because that may seem like a simple thing to some people, but to be culturally and literally meet all the guidelines, it's really not that simple to do that, especially when you're looking at culturally. We want to make sure that we strengthen our internal and external communication systems. Some of those we're looking at things like making sure that we have committees for our quality improvement committees. We have, we want to make sure that we've updated, we make sure that people externally, our residents know what's going on and that we're meeting their needs. So for quality improvement, we have quite a few quality improvement projects in place right now. We're trying to make sure more people know about our dental sealant program and participate in it. We're trying to update our school policies. We're trying to update our financial policy. We're trying to make sure that our community health improvement plan, as we're doing it right now, has a baseline so it can be evaluated. And we're trying to make sure that we're doing community awareness so that we try to figure out how the information moves around our community. So for instance, when we had H1N1 and we wanted to say, well, how did people figure out how to come to our clinics? And how do people get information in Waushara County? Do they read it in the newspaper? Do they look at the websites? Do they get it from their neighbors? And we did a couple of surveys. So we did a survey for our community health improvement plan, and we did a survey for community awareness, and we did that at the county fair. And so then we'll put all that information together, and from those make some further choices. Strengthening the external communication to our partners would be things too, like creating a food advisory board and having representatives on that board from our people that are the restaurant owners and say, are we providing our service to you correctly? Are we doing what you're looking for? Are we serving you appropriately? That's what you do when you're your service group. Ask people if you're doing what they need. We want to advocate for changes that strengthen the public health system. I mentioned at one point, and I apologize, this probably should have been in a PowerPoint, strengthening the public health system, getting accredited. It's a push for local accreditation, for volunteer accreditation, but the State Department is really significantly pushing for that. This is the simple publication that is the guidelines for accreditation for local health departments. So I will, in the future, as I move along further, bring this back and talk once again about this when I tell you a little bit more about what we're doing with that. It's a significant project. Dennis Weddy and I have been on a Wisconsin quality improvement team for more than 3 years that has helped local health departments learn how to get ready for accreditation. It's a huge project. And so that does help strengthen public health because it gives us a set of guidelines that help all of us know what we are supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing it. The other one that I had in that one was improving the funding for public health, and I already explained that Wisconsin is probably one of the poorest funded states as far as state support for public health. That may be a pie in the sky thing, but sometimes that's what you do when you look at strategic plan. You need to do some pie in the sky things. And you keep bugging your State Department and say, give us more money, especially in today's economy.
Can I ask a question? When you talk about accreditation, you're talking about accrediting the local health departments?
Correct.
And what is the advantage of that, or what is the purpose of that?
Okay. The purpose, actually, I would tell you, it's not so much the piece of paper that you get, but it's actually looking at the set of standards and meeting the set of standards. So for instance, right now under this one where I have fiscal responsibility, is that what I have up now is fiscal responsibility? Yep, demonstrate fiscal responsibility. You will see in a lot of places where it says linkages and it says the FAB standard, that's what it is, it's the accreditation standard. Where it says the first one, it says annually meet the measures outlined in standard 11.2. 11.2 actually is in that accreditation standard, and in that accreditation standard it tells you what, as a local health department, if you're accredited, what you must do. And it really is things as simple as you must have a budget that's approved, you must be able to meet audit standards, you must be able to show that you have appropriate MOUs with your fiscal funders, that you report back to them in appropriate standards, and that you actually do what you say you're going to do and use their money wisely. So as much as people would say, piece of paper, oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but the meat behind accreditation makes a lot of sense because it says have these policies and procedures in place, have competent work staff in place, have fiscal responsibility in place. I don't have it all quoted for you, but that's the type of things that it has. It may not mean so much to go and actually get the piece of paper, but what's behind it makes a lot of sense. It's sort of, hospitals are accredited, schools are accredited. You probably don't want to necessarily hire a nurse from a non-accredited school, I'll tell you. You don't maybe want to go have your surgery at a non-accredited hospital. And so that's kind of what they're saying about health departments. They're suggesting we want to look at our standards and make sure that we're really doing the job right. Then there's also the little piece where they kind of threaten us and say, well, maybe we're not going to give you money unless you get accredited. But I'll say, that one I've been saying, prove it. And so far they haven't. They've just been kind of pushing that one at us. And that may come in the future, and I'm going to worry about it when it happens. I'm one of those that say, I'll wait for it to happen. So that's what accreditation is. So we're doing the work so far, but not pushing any money towards it. So I did get a grant this last year that helped us do a fair amount of work. I'm going to try for another grant. If we got a grant that helped us pay for accreditation, I'd do it. But so we'll see. We'll see if that happens in the future. But the work makes sense because it's standards and it's meeting standards. So the fiscal responsibility you can kind of see, developing the policy and procedures for making sure we're building and budgeting and expenditures. A lot of times that's the kind of stuff you just want to have, so if somebody else is in there and has to slide into place, somebody else knows the right way to do it. And once again, it's the pie in the sky, try to increase the stable funding for local public health because our government right now hasn't been doing that for years, unfortunately, for the state. That's just one of the places they don't put money. Okay. And then client-centered care is something we all do everywhere in every county agency. So the survey that we just did this summer was trying to identify some needs and wants. And that is part of the Community Health Improvement Plan. And then we'll kind of look at evaluating some of our programs and things we do based on that. Strive to strengthen your workforce competency. You want a competent workforce. So we look at, and as you look at a lot of those times where it says linkages, and a lot of those things are part of that accreditation standards. Polk County, under my status notes, Polk County has a really nice assessment tool for their staff, looking at competencies. Do your staff know how to do all their job? I have some pretty darn good staff. They've been around for a long time. We'll implement an agency workforce competency development training plan, make sure everybody's trained on what they can do. And I have reworked and started to rework the workforce development plan. We have a new one that we just put into place, but we can continue to work on things. And then goal setting for staff. A lot of times you do evaluations, goal setting, and satisfaction. A satisfied staff will always do a better job. And that's, out a little ways. And then you base, future stuff based on what you're looking at for benchmarks. And that's the end of my work plan. And it's not moving any further anyway, so it's a good thing it's the end of it. Huh? Okay. It's quite an adventure to do this. Okay, so does anybody have any questions, or did I just bore you all to sleep? Okay.
Thanks, Patty. Next presenter is going to be Bill Wheeler from Tri-County Economic Development. And he's our executive director, and somebody can give him the mic then, so.
On anyway? Yes, I guess it is. Good evening. Thanks for allowing me to spend a few minutes with you tonight. I want to thank Deb Behringer for the invite
and for Melanie politely pointing out what day it really was on. That's another private little joke. Anyway, an important component of any economic development program is a business retention program. And about 3 years ago, we embarked on a business retention expansion survey program to cover the 3 counties. This program is called Executive Pulse. I'm going to go through that handout with you in a couple minutes. An Executive Pulse is a national, basically, database system for business retention that was purchased by the 3 technical colleges in the New North area, and a group that I'm a member of with my colleagues actually pays the administration each year. Retention is important for a number of different reasons. One, I think 80% of your jobs being created at any time are really coming from your existing companies. Number 2, you want to keep your existing companies there, and you want to keep them happy, and if they're happy, that can help attract other companies as well. The way this survey works is we utilize the economic development corporations in Marquette, Green Lake, and Waushara County, along with some resource people and myself, to actually go out and survey our major employers. Basically, one person would be doing the survey, one would be writing down the notes. We completed 30-some actual surveys, I think 11 in Waushara County. And they don't go in and start going through a list of questions. In fact, I think there's 135 actual data points in this survey. We're running through a little training exercise and help them identify really 7 different areas to look at, and we call it our cheat sheet to help guide them through just having a discussion with the CEO or plant manager. Basic company information, employee information, sales information, internet use and technology, facilities and equipment, municipal services, and what they think of the business climate. And from the discussion, then someone's supposed to go out to the car and start filling out the survey points, and then we get them back and we put them in the system. The system allows us to compare not only certain things within our counties, but also within the 18 counties in the New North. Now, I think probably 12 or 13 of them are actually using this system. So it gives us some good data feedback for us as economic development people, for the technical colleges, and hopefully for the businesses as well. The handout you have is really just kind of a sample of the type of reports we can run, but I thought some of this might be of interest to you. As I said, this covers the 34 visits in the 3 counties, including 11 in Waushara. But of of 31 that answered the question, 29 are privately owned, which is a good thing. I mean, it means they're committed, they're loyal to the area. Almost all of them, except for 4, have headquarters either here in the 3 counties or within Wisconsin, which is another good thing. Percent of workforce, skilled versus professional, pretty even across the board, 34% skilled to professional, 28% semi-skilled, and 26% entry level. An interesting component is that 34% went up to 43% in those that have been surveyed just in the past 12 months. So that kind of tells you that the skill level is rising in the area to some extent. Percent of workforce that live in the particular county where the business is very high. It's 78%. Only 13 in adjacent counties, which surprised me. I'm not sure I actually believe that, but I'm sure they were telling us the truth. Retention of employees. 5 of the businesses had some problems with it. 28 said not really a problem. So that's also a good thing. They're keeping their employees, and that means the employees must be happy. However, on the other flip side, recruiting employees is a problem. I don't think it's unique. Well, I know right now it's not unique to this area, but when you have the majority of our companies saying we're having a hard time recruiting, there's an issue there. I think it was in today's business page in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, they call this the job paradox. There's currently now 600,000 open jobs across the country that businesses just can't fill. And last week at our Treadsy Summit, we were talking about this as well, that it's happening in Wisconsin too. Employers have a lot of job openings, but they can't match the employees with the skill levels. So I think that's something all of us have to start getting on the bandwagon and address over the next few years, because we have high unemployment and there's no excuse. So somebody's got to get some training and fit into those jobs, and somebody has to, basically take the bull by the horn. And I'm not sure we can depend on Washington, but we'll see what they have to say. On the other side, we're looking at internet use, obviously very high, very important. A number of companies, 8 out of 22 that responded, are looking at expansion over the next 12 to 18 months. And that's the other thing to try to identify with the survey. And as I get these results, first of all, they're confidential. Just like the report you're looking at, you can't identify the companies. But I have access to the companies, as well as one other person out there in the 18 counties. So I can look at the data, look if they're looking at expansion. It allows me to get out there and talk to them. Also, the interviewer can trigger an automatic response mechanism that shoots me an email that says, this company's due for a visit, be a good idea to give them a call. So there's a lot of different ways to use this program. Then, for the county, I pulled off how would you rate zoning and land use. You got one excellent vote, but that didn't come from Waushara County, I can determine. But 11, the majority say it's good. If you say it's fair. I can only guess that, since most of these companies are industrial manufacturers and they're probably zoned for industrial, they probably had some other issues on zoning, whether it's a personal thing or a friend next door or something like that brought that down a little bit. As far as local road conditions, nobody gave it an excellent, which really comes as no surprise. Number good and number are fair. And I'm sure the ones that were down on the bottom were the state highways, and the county roads were up on top. Correct?
You bet.
Workforce quality, excellent and good across the board. Smattering of fair and poor. And then availability, once again, kind of a problem in getting employees. So, like I said, that's one of the major areas that we need to address, need to look at those that want to expand and such. One thing that also came out, we asked for comments too from the businesses when we do the surveys. And as I mentioned, a few of you there last week, we had our annual Economic Development Summit, and this year it was a salute to manufacturers. We actually based our speakers and the subject of the summit on the responses we got from the manufacturers in the 3 counties, because they're also spread out. And you have that even here in Waushara as well. A lot of the CEOs or plant managers said, I don't know Joe Blow that runs ABC company down the street. I've never met this person. We'd like the opportunity to possibly get together, talk about similar concerns and issues. And that was part of the last juncture of our meeting last week, was to we're pretty pleased. We had about 16 different business people that were in attendance. We had a total attendance of about 60. But they met afterwards. They talked about getting together, forming a Tri-County Manufacturers or Business Council, also trying to utilize some of the data from Executive Pulse. Judging by the responses that I got from that, I would say, yeah, it's something we're going to look at trying to do. The one concern for many of the businesses was we got to get participation, and that's part of the other issue out there, is to get them at a time where they're comfortable in coming, and it's something that will help facilitate and initiate, but it's something that really needs to be driven by those manufacturers. And it's for them to get together, to bring in a speaker or two or something like that, something that could help them. A lot of them don't have, for example, human resource people. It's just someone that's doing some other job, and they said, okay, you're in charge of human resources. And there is no human resource group in this Tri-County area. So it might be a way of bringing someone in from a different county and talking to them about them and trying to get something organized. One other thing at our Treadsea Summit last week, just real quickly, some of the things we covered was government contracting, angel investing, business consulting, sustainability partnership through the Wisconsin Manufacturer Extension Partnership. We also had Paul Jaden, who is the current CEO of what used to be the Wisconsin Department of Commerce, which is now the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. And some of the things that Paul had said really hit home and made a whole lot of sense from where this agency was and where it's going to go. Some of you know, as the budget change came in July, the Department of Commerce disappeared, and then we created the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation as a true jobs creation type agency. The head of that agency no longer has to be concerned with safety of amusement rides or underground leaking storage tanks. They can concentrate on job creation. Instead of being a reactionary type group, they're going to be proactive. You know, they're going to increase their dollars in marketing, you know, across the country. They're going to bring in an economist on hand so they actually think they know what they're doing. Focus on entrepreneurship, innovation, also international trade, and probably do all the things that you really need to do if you're going to be successful at this. So, you know, knock on wood, they got a long ways to go, but I think it's going to be a good partnership, and they're going to help the state of Wisconsin. And that's all I have for you. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Questions for Bill?
If not, I will disappear and
Very
let
interesting.
you do.
Next presenter is the Marie Wist, and she's going to tell us about Marquette County's ATV trails and routes, and in Waushara County also. So, Marie?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Maureen Wist, and my husband and I, if you can get this together, have been residents of Waushara County for over 20 years, and we're also members of the Marquette County ATV Club. In your packet that was handed out, you should have a brochure, our club brochure, which is the neon green. And on page 2 of the proposal, tells a little bit about our club. It's a nonprofit organization. We were established in Wisconsin in August of this year, but the club was formed in the fall of last year by ATV enthusiasts in Marquette and Waushara County who wanted to promote ATV riding on routes and trails in our area and to bring revenue to the businesses. Our objectives are to develop local ATV routes and trails, stimulate and strengthen local economy and community, promote a positive public image of ATVs, provide responsible ATV recreation, encourage safe and social fun for family riding, advocate and conduct DNR ATV safety training, support ATV Trail Patrol Ambassador Program, and the ability to raise money for local charities. At this point, we're asking for just 0.2 of a mile on County Road II in the town of Richford. But we're also asking for limited portions of county roads where routes to access routes on town roads. When possible, a route will be established on a town road instead of on a county road. The proposal, as stated on page 2, is, again, to allow ATVs to operate on the paved surface of limited portions of county roadways in order to connect road routes on town roads in Waushara County. Routes run on paved surfaces of roadways only. They do not run on the gravel or the side of the road or in the ditch. They generate very little dust and do not cause erosion. ATV routes in Waushara County will operate, ATVs will operate at a maximum of 35 miles per hour, will operate on the extreme right side of the roadway in single file, and they must abide by all existing road signs such as stop, yield, curve, etc. And I'm sorry the audience can't see the map, but if you notice, this is our first attempt. It's not in scale exactly, but it does show the routes in Adams, Marquette, and Waushara County. This map here shows the blue roads are routes in Adams County, and that's also shown on the map that I handed out. The have been approved. We've currently been approved, ordinances have been adopted in the town of Shields, in the town of Crystal Lake, and in the town of Dakota in Waushara County. On page 3 of the proposal packet is a copy of the proposed ordinance for the town of Richford. You notice under section 3, it specifically indicates the roads. These roads are shown on the map on page 5 in green. And there's that small 0.2 of a mile on I that we're asking for. Page 6 is a map of the town of Dakota and shows in the bottom left-hand corner the routes that have been approved. And those are only on town roads at this point. You'll notice in the ordinance, it's similar to the one that was adopted in the town of Dakota. Routes are going to be open from 5 a.m. through midnight. They'll be operational only after they're signed, which will be sometime in either April or May of 2012. In section 8, you'll notice that the ordinances will be adopted on a probationary basis for 1 year. And then they'll be reviewed after that 1 year and hopefully adopted on a permanent basis. Page 7 outlines the laws of the state of Wisconsin governing ATV routes. I've also handed out the booklet that's provided on ATV route and trails by the DNR. ATVs must slow down to 10 miles an hour within 15 feet of a dwelling and 100 feet of a pedestrian or a slow-moving vehicle, horse, etc. All persons born after December 31st, 1987 are required to pass a registered safety course and have a valid ATV certificate. All ATVs must be equipped with a headlight and a taillight that must be operational at all times while riding. Everyone under the age of 18 must wear a helmet, and no one under the age of 12 can operate an ATV on a route. On page 8 is a smaller version of the map of Adams County showing the road routes in gray that we hope to someday attach to. We also hope to provide a similar map to the riders in Waushara County, similar to the Adams County one that I handed out. That one's put out by the club we're working with in Adams County, the Monroe Prairie ATV Club. Page 9 is of a map that was also put out by the Monroe Prairie ATV Club, which shows the routes that have already been approved in the town of Plainfield. They're in the very northwestern portion of Waushara County. And these routes connect the routes in Adams County to the routes that go up to Portage County. Page 10 gives you an example of some of the signs that will be posted along the routes. We will be working with the townships to determine what signs are needed. There is a grant program that's through the state of Wisconsin administered by the DNR where townships, villages, and cities can apply for money to purchase the signs. We will be helping with some of the purchase of the signs and working with the townships in posting them. Where possible, signs will be posted on existing signposts to avoid additional problems with mowing or snow removal. On page 11 is a copy of a current newspaper article that appeared in a Wisconsin newspaper. It's about a resolution that was passed in Oneida County after the county board realized the county was losing tourism income. Many other counties in Wisconsin have dealt with this issue and have routes that run both on county and town roads. Page 12 gives you an idea of the decibel levels of various other machines and everyday household appliances. ATVs must run at 96 decibels or less. Page 13 are comments from Adams County business owners of how ATV routes have greatly increased their business in Adams County. And pages 14 through 20 includes a statement from Mark Kittleson, co-owner of K&M Sales and Service in Hancock, and then various other forms that were signed by local businesses who are in support of ATV routes. Many of them have offered their parking areas for us to park trucks and trailers and to create a trailhead in order to access the routes. As in other counties where road routes have been approved, in the future, residents will ask their town boards to approve of additional roads, and hopefully ordinances will be amended in the future. We've seen this happen a lot in Adams County. We also want to work with law enforcement who will be patrolling the trails. If any problem areas pop up, we can post additional signs, we can patrol the areas of our club is up to 60 members now. We have at least 11 trail ambassadors that are certified through the Wisconsin ATV Association. And they have to keep that certification going by patrolling routes and trails in Wisconsin. So we will be out there patrolling problem areas. We can determine who the violators are. Of course, we can't enforce anything ourselves, but we can call the sheriff or the local DNR warden so that citations can be issued. At this point, we're still working with the town of Neshkoro and the village of Neshkoro and the city of Montello and the town of Montello, and also with the town of McCann in Marquette County. We're scheduled for a public hearing in the town of Richford on the 14th of November. And we hope to have routes operational, like I said, in May of 2012. Again, thank you for letting us be here tonight. Any questions?
Any questions for Maureen? Yes, go ahead.
Is your goal to make all town roads accessible to ATVs?
No, it is not. Our goal is to run on town roads and very limited on county roads to attach to the routes in Adams County and Portage County, and to hopefully get a route system from Adams County, Portage County, Waushara, Marquette, Green Lake. So, you know, at this point, if you look at the map for Adams County, most of the routes are north of Highway 21. The ATV club that's in that area is very active in meeting with the different town boards, and same thing that we've been doing to get more routes. What normally happens is once people start seeing ATVs in an area and, you know, gee, I'd like to have a route go past my home, then they're contacting their town boards, and then they're adding additional roads. But we are just asking for one route, you know, one passageway. We would like to eventually move from Richford, say into the town of Paloma, so we can go get across Highway 39. And once we're on the west side, then we can hopefully go north to Plainfield. We're also working on town of Neshkoro, and we may get some routes that would come into the town of Marion in Waushara County. And maybe be able to come back around. So it's all something in the future.
The reason I asked that question is in northern Adams County there, it looks like it's pretty solid.
Pretty much, but it's not all. Yeah. It does run on some county roads, but most of them are town roads.
Any more questions? Not. Thanks very much. A very interesting presentation. Now we're going to continue on. Now we're going to have discussion and possibly action items, and one of it is recommendations on ATV routes in Waushara County. And we need some discussion on this. We need some recommendations.
Maureen had come to the Public Works Committee earlier and had talked to them. And as the committee was discussing it, they wanted her to come to the full county board, because if we adopted before the committee went much further on it, they wanted to know what your feelings were on ATV trails in general on roads. And is that something that you were interested in? Is it something that you think we should be exploring? So that's kind of why we're here tonight, is to get an overall view from the county board as a whole as to what your position is on this, and is it something that, you know, we should be pursuing, or how do you feel about it?
And this will be on county roads. Everett.
Sheriff's still here.
Oh, he's gone.
No, gone.
I wanted to ask him if he'd heard, or if anybody can tell us as far as accidents or as far as problems with them. Somebody going 35 miles an hour in an ATV doesn't have much of a chance against a semi. It's just, go ahead, ma'am.
Well, in 2010, the Department of Natural Resources had 287,000 ATV registered in Wisconsin. There were 170 total reported incidents of injuries involving ATVs. Now, these occurred not only on approved routes and trails, but on private property. Okay, most were due to having no helmets. There were a total number of 1,130 citations issued by wardens and sheriff patrols in 2010. And I know in 2010 there were 14 deaths of ATV riders, and only 3 of them were on routes. So, thank you.
Larry.
I guess I'm a little concerned that they can go on public roads without having a driver's license. You know, it seems like it could be anybody. I mean, if people have lost their license, could drive an ATV then.
Correct. But our concern here, all we can be concerned about here technically is our county roads. The rest a little bit. Town roads, that's up to the town boards how they do that. They have to have training, I understand what Reen explained, and wear a helmet after a certain age or up to a certain age, but I couldn't be able. The safety issue is my big concern also. Safety issue. It's nice, it'd be wonderful, but they're running the roadways. They're not using the shoulders, they're using the road. Yes.
Norm, I've been up in the northwestern part of Adams County, where a lot of the trails run up there. I believe it's pretty much in the town of Rome is where a lot of them are up there. And I have met quite a few four-wheelers doing quite a little work up there, and I've really never never had a problem. They've always been, you know, on the right side of the road. Also up there, there's a lot of logging roads, as I would call them, that they run. Dirt roads that aren't really used for anything else but pulping and stuff like that. But from what I have seen up there, I've never seen a problem, you know, per se, you know. I do know that the Adams Trail does go all the way over into its, a lot of people park their four-wheelers and stuff like that and unload them at the Ponderosa Pines. They've got a big campground up there, and that does start out from there and ends up going over. So I do know a lot of people go through there. But I've been up in that area and have never seen anything or any problems, but I can't really say how many county roads there is up there. County Z is the only one that really is up in there. I don't know how much county roads they run up in the town of Rome. It's mostly all town roads and stuff like that.
This, the way she explained, it'd be a one-year test on it, basically. But it's,
We do a lot of trail riding and route riding in Wisconsin and upper Michigan. And, I mean, yes, we've seen accidents, but they ride up there, you know, very sensibly. And they ride up there along with horses. Horses are allowed on a lot of the trail systems. Clark County, Eau Claire County, Trempealeau County.
Bill?
Would the use of the county roads only as a connector to the town roads?
That'd just be the one little section, that's all they're requesting. The other county roads they cannot ride on unless it has the resolution is passed by this board to allow it. Just that one little section.
While they're just asking for that little section on double I tonight, the reason that we're here is because we foresee that there will be additional requests in the future. So that's why we want you to look at the big picture and what your feelings are on it.
Larry?
Town of Plainfield, we passed, let them use a town road only for about a mile, and the only reason we did that was to connect Adams and Portage County. So that's the only reason we did it. I'm sure if it wasn't just for that, we wouldn't have passed it.
Mr. Chairman, I'm a little concerned about the need for supervision, patrol officers or whatever to look at that piece of highway, and if that would draw those people from other areas of the county. We're already talking about having the need for more highway people in vehicles driving around, and if that would divert some of the people from the rest of the county to make sure that the folks, the ATV people, were abiding by the rules and regulations that they have established. So I'm just a little worried that there would be some problem with the highway patrol in the rest of the county.
The sheriff was at the last Public Works meeting when Maureen presented, and that particular section of road is not overly traveled. I guess it's not a high density area, and he didn't necessarily think that that was going to mean that they were going to be patrolling there any more than they already are. They maybe have to respond, but he said, and hopefully I'm not misquoting him, but he had indicated it would be much like what they do with snowmobile patrol, that, you know, if there became an issue, you know, you would have to go up and you would have to look into it, but otherwise it would just be monitored on regular patrol that they're doing now.
Okay, thank you. And I guess I would like to ask the presenter, how many people ride on a ATV regularly, and is there a limit how many can ride at on one machine?
On one machine, there's a limit of two people. Most often, they're just equipped for a single rider. There are some ATVs, some manufacturers have seats, you know, they're a little bit longer, and then two people can ride comfortably.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to ask Highway Commissioner Tom Dahlke if he has any, if he's gotten any input from any other highway commissioners from other counties that are allowing ATVs. Does it have any impact on the road itself?
I have talked to commissioners that have in counties that allow ATV use on the roads. It's more of a political issue than anything else. You know, highway commissioners as a whole are opposed to it. This particular section of double I is short, and it is a low volume road. That doesn't really concern me. The damage to the road by four-wheelers, unless they really get carried away, is no different than snowmobiles being on the road, which they're not supposed to be there. And that's one of my concerns is the presenter has given a very good overview of what's supposed to be done, but what's really done in the real world, we see that with snowmobiles all the time, that they don't follow the trails and they go off the trails and they cause problems. But as far as literally damaging the road, I see very little. I see very little chance of that happening unless they get off the road into the ditches again, back to the issue if they follow the
Everett.
Question for Ruth. If we pass this, we're locked into this for a year though, right?
Well, tonight you just would recommend that I would bring back an ordinance next month because we don't have an ordinance on the agenda.
Right.
And then you can make the terms of the ordinance anything that you want. They're proposing that we do it for a year so that we know how it works.
I would be concerned if we're locked in for a year, if we have a lot of problems that we don't anticipate, some way to get out of it or some way to, rectify it. That's just an idea. Now, this is just during the summer months, though? I guess
No, it would run out.
it would.
Daily all year long.
Okay.
I have a question. I have a question. You stated in here that children as young as 12 years old would be allowed to ride on these trails. Did you not?
12 years old and older.
That's right, as old as 12. I guess I'm a little concerned with them adhering to the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. If I know kids, and I know kids, they like to go as fast as they can, whether it be on skis or a snowmobile or whatever. Are there governors on these machines or anything like that that would regulate the speed?
Not on machines over 90 cc's, no, there's not. The only thing we hope is that it would be a family activity, that they would be out there with a guardian or an adult.
I can see not too many 16-year-olds wanting to be with a family, you know what I'm saying?
But I can't see too many young people being on the routes either, because they're going to enjoy the trail riding. Like I said, up north, they even have a recreation area in Adams County that is just a trail.
Any more questions? Otherwise, if we would approve it, then like Ruth said, next month they'll come back with a resolution on it. And then we take it from there.
Well, you can do all kinds of things. You can recommend that the Public Works Committee studies it more and makes a recommendation to you. You can recommend that that I bring back a proposed ordinance for double I. I mean, this is totally up to you guys how you want to proceed from here.
I think I would like to see Public Safety and Public Works both look at it.
And highway.
Okay,
And highway too. whatever.
Mark, you had a,
Yeah, I think, but overall, I don't think this, it'd be kind of a trial period. And if we did this for a year and Ruth had something written up so that we ever have a problem or something like that, at least we've tried a short sliver, and if it's worked out, it might lead to something. If it doesn't work out, we know right now that we're done. We're not gonna allow any town roads. If you have a little problem on that short piece that they're asking for, we're not gonna allow it on any other county roads. At least we've gave it a shot to try it, to see what does happen.
Mark?
Yeah.
You probably misspoke when you said town roads first.
Sorry about that.
No,
county
but
roads.
I'm just, because we can't stop the towns from passing
No,
this.
but I meant county, pardon
Right,
me.
no, I just want to make sure that.
okay, what is your feeling then? Somebody want to make a motion one way or the other?
Well, I could draft an ordinance and take it to Public Works and Public Safety before your next meeting, and then we'd have their input on it, and then you'd have that.
I think that would be, I personally would think that would be the best. I'd have to, Donna, you're in public safety.
That's fine. I don't know if we want to do it for a full year to begin with, maybe a 6-month window there.
That's fine, and I'm
Yeah.
just saying that, I just think
If we're
that maybe
gonna try it.
you should try it, because that's gonna tell you whether, it's a little short piece that you're gonna try. And
If we have problems,
if
then
you have
we
problems
say,
with it,
pull the plug.
it's done, But at least you've gave it a shot and you've tried it.
Ennis?
If indeed we did go along with allowing this on this very lightly traveled county road, I guess probably in that ordinance I would like to see something that would limit access to the more heavily traveled county roads. For example, Highway W that I live on has a lot of traffic on it, and it's crooked and blind corners and so on, and I'd be very concerned about things like that.
Well, the ordinance would only be for that section.
I understand.
Any additional ones would have to have a new ordinance.
Okay.
We have to decide this every time.
Okay. I just thought that would open the door for,
It'll open the
Right, but you don't have to accept it. Right. So if you just do the little piece, you know, but I think that what Ruth has proposed is what we should do.
Okay, so the,
Chairman, I would like to move that we direct Ruth to follow through on her offer to go to 2 committees, draft an ordinance, and bring that ordinance back to the county board in November.
okay, do we have
Possible?
a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a second by Everett. Any more discussion on it? Yes. Joe.
Would we want to do it 6 months or a year? I guess that's, I think 6 months is a little bit short to really get a trial, because you're gonna go through the winter, and 6 months is gonna still be winter.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we should go for a year.
Then
I
we
believe.
should have a contingency in the ordinance that if we have a problem or something happens, that we can terminate. What do you usually do, like in? Repeal the ordinance. Yeah, repeal the ordinance.
Okay, yes.
I think in that too, though, it can't be just like one instance or something like that. It has to be enough common sense to give them the benefit of the doubt also.
Definitely.
But that can be decided at those committee levels.
Okay, you're gonna have Ruth bring it back and to the county board next month. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's been approved.
Just wanted to state that the probationary period on the ordinances is starting when the trails are operational, and they're not operational until we have signage. So actually, they're not gonna be operational until about May 1st. So that's the timeframe we're looking. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next is a motion to approve Waushara County Long Range Plan of Library Services 2012 to 2016.
Chairman, I would move to approve that ordinance.
Motion by, we got a second by Larry Crawford. Any more discussion on it? Yes, says Clint. Oh, okay. With a second by Larry Crawford. Okay, any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Motion to approve a policy regarding after-hours access to the courthouse.
Oh, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Donna Collada to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Dennis Weddy. Any discussion on it?
Yes. If the fob isn't returned immediately, do they forfeit their security deposit? I mean, like if they left the courthouse at 9 o'clock at night, you would expect them to go back to the sheriff's department immediately and return the fob, correct? And if they don't return it immediately, do they forfeit their security deposit? Or do we want them to, or do we just say, well, oh well? Or do they not get one again? Is there any recourse for not returning the fob immediately?
They would forfeit their security deposit, although I think that, maybe we would give them until the next morning to
Yeah, I
return
think
it or
there's gonna be
something.
some leeway in, if they've performed all the tasks, because they're not gonna get their security deposit back right away, because, it's gonna take time to go make sure all those tasks were performed, so.
Can you put a time frame, like a 24-hour period to return that key fob?
It says 10 days on here.
That's your refund, but I mean
The
for the people to
refund.
return it.
You can, yeah.
Just
you
if there was
can-
a blizzard, or if the sheriff's
Sure.
department was overwhelmed, you couldn't get to the people. And the access to the sheriff's department are they agreed to take care of this?
Yes.
I mean, I went there one day and they were mad that I asked them a question. Well, I think we need to improve our access with nobody there. I was there during the day, and I guess they're gonna have to be more proactive to people, especially with something like this. They're gonna have to be able to answer it and take the black thing down so you can see you're talking to somebody, or, because you can stand there. But I guess that all needs to be worked out.
Do you think 24 hours is enough, or do you want 48?
I don't know, I just said 24, just in case there's a blizzard that night, or whatever you guys think is acceptable time frame. I mean, you don't want to stretch it out a week. You want to have a number in there.
24
And
hours?
then after 24, whatever the
Yeah.
36 hours, you lose your deposit. And then
And then
like
maybe
you said,
can't get a fob again.
all right, but that's just going to pass to the next person.
Yeah.
Oh.
The other question I have with the fob is, does that open any door, or does it, like, if they're using the demo room, it only opens the demo room?
It would be
door?
restricted to
Very
the room that they're
Oh, good, okay.
accessing, so.
Okay, any more questions on it?
Again, this is kind of a work in progress because this is something brand new to all of us, so we might be coming back in a few months tweaking it because we're gonna find out that in practicality it isn't working, so.
So
Fred, you had a
will this include, if we pass this, does it include, that they have to, or do we have to wait and approve this after we add the 20, they have to have it back in 24 hours, or they lose their deposit?
Well, you can make a motion to amend it to add 24 hours, that they have a 24-hour time frame to return the fob. I mean, you would do that as an amendment, wouldn't you, Ruth? Yeah.
Fred, you had a question?
Well, my question is just for my own information. I wonder how many people have access to this building right now at this time? How many people in the county employ can get into this building?
Well, there's quite a few keys that have been issued over the years, and that's what we're trying to get away from.
And those keys are given to certain personnel, department heads, or just staff that have occasion?
Some departments, maybe every one of their staff has a key. In other departments, maybe it's only one or two people. So it just depends what department it is. And those key cylinders will be gone. There will be no cylinders to use those keys in.
Oh, okay.
This is basically for after-hour conditions of the courthouse, where people, it wouldn't, like zoning night, well, the zoning administrator would have one and so forth, but something special going on here, then they have that fob, like the 4-H or something like that.
Okay, I'm on the fair board, and the fair board would have access to this building with a fob when we need the building for a meeting.
Only if you are the responsible individual.
Yeah, well, that's somebody else, not me.
Okay, any more questions? Yes, Joe?
Has this gone out to the departments, like, as Extension discussed it, or all these other ones? Do they know what's in here now?
Yeah, we gave it to, Extension actually had a lot of input into this.
Right, and
and
that's
we
what,
sent it to
Patrick was here, that's why.
Yeah, we sent
really
it to
wanted-
the department heads, so they, we asked for input. And again, this is probably gonna be a work in progress because, we might have to tweak the hours that the doors are open or whatever, I'm sure this thing is gonna change over time.
We had it down for 9 and now it's 10.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, we've got, the doors are unlocked from 7:45 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. We might find that, we already know that that's probably not gonna work, so.
Court doesn't always get done right at 4:30,
Mhm.
and you can't have the motion detectors go on at 4:30. So we kind of have to.
You could.
Yeah, and we're gonna, this will be brought back to you with tweaks, I'm sure, I can guarantee it.
Okay.
Yes, Joe?
Is the 15 minutes before a meeting long enough, Patrick?
What we intend to do is, which really should be done now anyway, for use of the rooms, is tell people to account for their time to set up when they're reserving the room. And it should be done that way anyway now, because we've got a meeting at 1 o'clock. Let's just say you had a meeting here at 8:30, and you guys got done at 8:30. There's no time for the next person to set up because they didn't allow time for it, because they were scheduled. So our intention is to ask people to, if they're planning on the meeting at 7, that they, and if they think it's gonna take half an hour to set up, that they reserve the room from 6:30 to whatever time the planning can be done.
Yeah, it's not the start of the meeting, it's the start of the reservation.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, any more questions?
And are you gonna make a motion to?
I didn't know if that could be just changed in here, because it doesn't really say, how long you have.
Can we add that they have 24 hours to return the fob? And if not, then they forfeit their $20.
Sure.
Just add it to
We
it.
need somebody to amend it and add that as an amendment. We'll fix
I'll
it.
make
and-
that motion to amend.
Hey, we have a motion, we have a second amendment, second by Joe for the amendment. Now, the motion is with the amendments. Any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. That was motion to approve the update the rules and bylaws of Washera County Board of Supervisors and
Yes, before we make a motion, I just want to go over this briefly because what I have to say to explain it may decide how you want to make a motion on this. The main reason that we're here to amend the bylaws in the middle of your terms is that when we amended them last spring, we had decided that we would follow Chapter 59 as far as the annual meeting, which is the meeting in November. And the meeting in November, by statute, unless it's changed by you guys, is that that meeting is held on the first Tuesday after the second Monday. So, depending on when November starts, what day of the week, your meeting would either be the second Tuesday or the third Tuesday in November. This year, it would be the third Tuesday in November, which is like the 15th. So, when we were putting together the budgets last month, we got to looking at the amount of time that you need to publish the budgets, to get the budget in, to have a hearing, to have the budget hearing on November 15th, and then the amount of time that the Register of Deeds and the Treasurer's Office would need to be able to print the tax bills, to have the tax bills go out, to have all the information that you guys decide at your November meeting go to the town, so the towns can get their information, so that your tax bills go out on time. And it looked to us like that probably is gonna cut it a little bit close. So the main recommendation for tonight is that we modify the bylaws to say that the November meeting will always be the second Tuesday of November, no matter when that falls after the second Monday, so that we always have that time to get the budget information to the townships and all that information back so that the tax bills can go out on time. So that's the first change, and that's right on page 3. The second change is very minor. There are a couple of committees that the Department of Human Services used to have that they no longer have due to family care. And so we're just deleting those from the bylaws because they are no longer in existence. Those are the Developmental Disability Advisory Board and the Long-Term Support Committee. Those don't exist anymore, so we're just taking those out. The third change is the change that that you might want to think about and might not want to do tonight. I had a conversation with Supervisor Tim earlier this week regarding that. When the committee was looking at per diems and who got paid, a question came up about paying volunteers, paying citizen members, that kind of thing. And it was not across the board whether citizen members to library boards that were appointed by the county board, not all of them were getting paid. Some of them weren't putting in their per diem requests. Some of them just never were getting paid. That started getting appointed back in the 80s when the statute changed and said that the county board could appoint a county board supervisor and a citizen member to a local library board. The executive committee discussed it and thought that in this time when we're trying to cut costs, that perhaps the county board should not be appointing citizen members to local library boards anymore. They would still have their county board member, but not a citizen member, because the citizen member was really being given to the county board by the local library. There wasn't really somebody that the county board was going out to seek to represent the county board's interests. And that perhaps we just wouldn't need those anymore. We're not required to have them by statute. If they're not there, you don't have to worry about paying them. It becomes a non-issue. And so what the executive committee had considered was that we would eliminate the citizen members to local library boards that are appointed by the county board as their terms expired. When I talked to Supervisor Tim, he wondered if maybe that was something that the Library Services Committee should discuss before that issue was made up. And also we're not sure if all of the citizen members have term limits. So we don't know if they're appointed for a set period of time, and so how would you determine when their term would end? So that one you might want to wait and do a little bit more research on before you go along with that recommendation, if that's something you're even interested in. But those are the changes. The biggest one being the county board meeting, so that next month's meeting would be on November 8th instead of November 15th, so that we can get the tax bill work done.
Okay, we need a motion to that effect, and you want to, in the motion, you want to omit the library
I
until
would,
it's been
yes.
studied?
I would like to omit
Okay, you
library.
make that a motion?
Yes, I will make that a motion.
Second by Art Kirschner. Any more discussion on it? Yes, Fred?
Is this just on that issue we're voting now? We're not voting on the entire package?
Well, the whole entire package is in place, just the modifications of the package, Fred. Just the modification.
Okay.
And the only modification would be now the November 8th meeting, or the second
Okay.
Tuesday of the month for our annual meeting of the county board.
And the committees from DHS.
So the Human Services Committee, those two committees that are no longer necessary, it would be deleting those two.
Okay.
So the-
If there is another consideration on this entire thing, would this be the time to bring that up, or after the vote is on this particular issue?
This is always a work in progress, so we can certainly do.
Okay. Then I would take this moment to ask the board, or bring to the board's consideration the movement of the regular meetings from daytime meetings to nighttime meetings throughout the entire year, instead of 10 a.m. for the months of November through April, and 7 p.m. for the rest of the months. And so I would just like to propose that and find out if there's any interest, and if we would make that change now or do that at some other time, whatever, if it was possible.
You want them all to be night?
All night.
That's what it was before April, when we amended it the last time.
You want it all days then?
All day. No, all nights. 7 p.m. meetings throughout the year. And I recognize that some people like Bernadette are traveling a long way from the other side of the county, and in the wintertime it gets a little iffy. But I did mention this to her, and she didn't seem to have a great objection to it, so I think she's probably the person who has to travel the furthest. And if need be, on a bad day, I'll go out and get her and bring her in here.
We're talking about Washare County, whose roads are always good.
That's true, always, yes.
Oh, boy.
21 all the way. I have all the back roads to go.
I'll come and get you too, Larry.
He's gonna have a bus service.
Then our annual meeting, which would be next month, then would be in the evening instead of at 10 in the morning then.
You need to address that too, because last time when we just changed this, you worked it around because you wanted the organizational meeting, which is in April after an
Right.
election. You always wanted that during the day. So then we made a special rule for that to be during the day. Then you wanted that annual meeting on the budget to be during the day, so we made a special rule on that. And then that's how we got back to, I mean, they can be all nights, they can be all days, I don't care.
Sure.
But there's like multiple places in the bylaws where this is mentioned. So if you're gonna start changing things, I need to know all the sections that you're changing. You can't just say we're changing the meetings because there's different sections that are involved in that.
Well, I wouldn't have any problem with the annual meeting change for a daytime meeting, nor would I have for another specific occasion. I just think that if it would be workable, and there was no great objection from the rest of the board, that we could move to night meetings and make whatever adjustments, unless they're too horrendous in the rest of this document, to account for that evening meeting change. Yes? No?
You just tell me when to be here and I'll be here.
I like night meetings.
Okay, good.
I would get more.
Anybody else?
That's- yeah.
And then in April, when you changed these, you changed
You
them
wanted
back
to
to
change it
half
back,
days and
yeah.
half nights.
Yeah.
They were all nights, like the last revision prior to this.
Yeah.
Larry, you had a question?
If they did go to evenings, I believe it would give the working man a chance to run for county board. This year way we're working man, I mean, it's all lost so far it's down there now.
Speak for yourself. I'm the youngest one on here. Jeez.
Is that recorded in the minutes?
Well,
It's in capital letters.
That works okay for county board meetings, but a lot of committee meetings have to be held during the day.
Exactly.
So a person that's on the county board has to be able to day and night both. It's not all night meetings.
Yeah.
What is the motion on the floor?
The motion right now on the floor is to accept the changes for the November meeting to always be the second Tuesday, and to remove the Department of Human Services committees that no longer exist. That's the motion on the floor.
That's all we have now. We got a motion and a second to that.
That still could be done, except that could be a night meeting, right?
Right. I just need to know if you're, that's not the change.
No,
that
we'll
you're like-
do that later. We can do this.
Should we deal with that question and get it over with? And if somebody has something else, they
Okay.
come back with another proposal?
Yeah.
Okay, we have that motion and a second on the, for human services and for the annual meeting. Any more discussion on that part of it? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Anything else?
Alfred.
Well, I would make a motion that we adjust the meetings of the county board to all evening meetings, with the exception of at least those two that you mentioned, Ruth.
Well, they don't have to be. That's just what you had wanted in the past. So I just need to know how you want it done.
Okay.
They can, nothing in the statutes requires them to be at any particular time. You just had multiple times over the years, and I just need to know what you want to do now.
Can I don't want to interrupt your motion.
Interrupt.
But I think the one after the election, I think that has to be a daytime meeting because it takes a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
We don't want to be frogging around here at 2 o'clock in the morning, choosing up sides on committees, or at least I don't think the chairman wants to. So,
Well,
we could do that
if it's
during the day.
workable, I would be happy to go with those two events for daytime meetings and the rest of the meetings of the year at 7 o'clock in the evening. And that would be my motion.
So November and April would be during the day, but all the other 10 meetings would be at night.
Yep, sure.
And is it every April that's during the day, or just the organizational meeting, which is not every
Every
April?
other year.
Yeah, well, I guess every other year if we're dealing with a 2-year switch. Yeah.
You know how
Okay,
many
so
times
the
you've
motion is
changed.
for every organizational meeting during the daytime and also the annual meeting in November during the daytime. Is that correct?
You mean the budget meeting in November?
That's called the
That's the
annual
annual.
meeting.
Oh, that's the annual meeting? Oh, sorry.
The April,
Okay,
the April
organization.
one's the organizational one.
I'm new here. What do you want?
Okay, that's Fred's motion?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll second that.
got a second by Larry Crawford to it. Any more discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Oh, Bill, is one no. Okay?
It's what? I beg your
What
pardon.
do you really think, Bill?
Yeah, Bill,
Okay.
don't hold back.
We're gonna have consideration and possible action on the following resolution and ordinances now.
Resolution number 36-1011, a resolution ordering the issuance of tax deed on tax foreclosed property.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Donna Colada, second by Mrs. Krantz. Discussion on it.
Sorry.
Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved.
Resolution number 37-10-11, resolution authorizing the transfer of $25,000 from surplus.
Okay, we need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Donna Colada, second by Dennis Weddy. Now, this is for, we have a $25,000 deductible on our insurance, and we had a lot of hail damage. It's gotta be paid for. This is if there isn't any more discussion on this, it's gotta be a roll call vote.
Mrs. Colada.
Aye.
Mr. Weiss.
Aye.
Mr. Gellerup.
Aye.
Mr. Crawford.
Aye.
Mr. Kirschner.
Aye.
Mrs. Prince. Mr. Tim.
Aye.
Mr. Piaski.
Aye.
Mr. Weddy.
Aye.
Mr. Downey. Mr. Eckstein.
Aye.
Okay, that passed.
Resolution 38-10-11, resolution approving adoption of tentative Plan 7 and accompanying map for purposes of the Sheriff County Supervisory Districts.
Need a
Motion to approve.
by Dennis Woody, second by Larry Tim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
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 Opposed? That's
Aye.
we got, Joe, you
Opposed.
opposed, okay.
I'll be opposed too, please.
We got two opposed.
Job, so I might as well oppose.
Resolution 39-10-11, resolution authorizing the reorganization of the Business Unit, Long-Term Support Unit, and Children's Unit for the Department of Human Services.
Motion to approve.
Dennis Weddy, second by Bill Downey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved.
Ordinance number 535, ordinance amending Washara County Code number 58.
Chairman, I would move the approval.
Motion to Fred, second by Mark Kirschner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved.
Ordinance number 536, ordinance amending Washara County zoning maps pursuant to the authority granted in Chapter 58 Washara County Code, zone change, Joseph and Della Alvarez, Town of Deerfield.
By Mark Kirschner, second by Joe Piaski. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Are there any suggested items for our next board meeting, which will be, as you know now, it'll be on the second Tuesday.
10 a.m.
Adjourn.
Motion by Everett to adjourn. Do we have a second?
But Bernadette,
Second by Larry Crawford.
Fred's still coming to
All in
kick you
favor,
out.
say aye.
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 Opposed? We're adjourned.
Jim, are you making a statement? Jim, was that a comment that you wanted to make?
Sick of him diving around.
I didn't know the season was open on those now.
Good shot.